Welcome back to DPSN. I'm Dylan Oliver, and today I have my second to last NFL record predictions for this upcoming NFL season. In today's video, I'll be predicting the record for all four teams in the NFC East. So to start things off today, let's talk about the Washington Commanders. Week 1, they play against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars did do some things this offseason to improve their team, but overall, I still don't think they're very good and that the Commanders can win this game and will win this game to start their year off 1-0. Then, in Week 2, they get to play the Detroit Lions in Detroit. Back-to-back games against the teams that finished with the worst records in the league last year, and I think the Commanders are going to take full advantage of this and win both these games to start their season off 2-0. In fact, I think they're going to start their season off 3-0 and pick up a big divisional upset against the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 3 and start off 3-0. But then Week 4 against the Dallas Cowboys, they will lose that one, and then a lot of losses will come in after that. They'll then Week 5 lose to the Titans, and then Week 6 again another loss at the Chicago Bears before another loss against the Green Bay Packers, one more Week 8 against the Indianapolis Colts, then of course Week 9 against the Minnesota Vikings, another loss there. And in Week 10, in that rematch against the Philadelphia Eagles, this time in Philly, the Eagles are going to win that game. So at this point, the Commanders will be on a 7-game losing streak, be 3-7, but finally pick up another win against the Houston Texans in Week 11. After that, more losses are going to continue. They'll lose to the Atlanta Falcons and then lose in New York to the Giants before a bye week with a record of 4-9 through the first 14 weeks of the season. Coming out of that bye week, they play the Giants once again, and in this one, they will win that game to get to 5-9 before losing at the San Francisco 49ers and then losing to the Cleveland Browns, and in Week 18, losing to the Dallas Cowboys to finish their year off 5-12. With this awful record for this season, I think it's highly likely that this may be Carson Wentz's final season as a starter in the NFL. And I hate to say it, I would have loved him coming out of college and when he was on the Eagles, but he fell off so hard, and I think this is the end for Carson Wentz this season. I hope he proves me wrong, but with this 5-12 record I see for them, I don't think he will. The next NFC team I'm going to predict here today is one I actually kind of like going into this season. I've got the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, they have quite a bit of hype surrounding them this offseason, and I'm honestly buying into it. I think they're going to come in and perform very well. I think this offense is going to be pretty solid with A.J. Brown now on the other side of Devonta Smith. For how much they run it, they have some great receiving options as well. So I think overall it's going to be a very solid season for the Philadelphia Eagles. Week 1, though, I think that the hype is going to get into their head, and they're going to come out flat and lose Week 1 to the Detroit Lions before winning Week 2 against the Minnesota Vikings. Week 3, again, I have them losing to the Washington Commanders in Washington. And then in Week 4, I think they'll definitely be able to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. But then I have them losing back-to-back games, Week 5 and 6, at the Arizona Cardinals and versus the Dallas Cowboys, starting their season off with a rough 2-4 record before their Week 7 bye week. Coming out of this bye week, though, is when I think they start to get things clicking and really turn their season around and turn it into quite a good season. Week 8 against the Steelers, I have them winning that one and then beating the Houston Texans before a win against the Washington Commanders in Week 10. Going into Week 11 at the Indianapolis Colts, I have them winning that game, going on a 4-game winning streak coming out of their bye week to get to 6-4, 2 games over 500. Pretty good for the Philadelphia Eagles, but then against the Green Bay Packers in Week 12, they'll lose that game, and then again lose Week 13 to the Tennessee Titans, dropping back down to 500 on the season. And in Week 14, I have a 3-game losing streak forming for the Philadelphia Eagles, as I have them losing a divisional game to the New York Giants, dropping them down to 6-7 on the year. Things not looking great for them, but I think they finished the year strong and winning their final 4 games at the Chicago Bears, at the Dallas Cowboys, versus the New Orleans Saints, and finally Week 18 against the New York Giants, finishing the year off 10-7, most likely making the playoffs, which for them I think is a very, very good season. Up next, I'm going to predict the New York Giants record for this upcoming season. I don't care what they did in the offseason. I don't care that Saquon Barkley is supposedly back healthy or that they changed their head coach. They just never seem to be good. They just come into every single season and underperform and lose games, and Danny Dimes is not the guy. He never has been. He's never gone in and really performed to the level they've wanted him to. I don't think they're going to be good this year, no matter how much talent they have. So let's just get into the predictions, and I'll let you know what I think they'll be. Week 1 at the Tennessee Titans, they're going to lose. Then they'll lose Week 2 to the Carolina Panthers, whether Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield is starting. Week 3, the Dallas Cowboys are much better than the New York Giants. I have the Cowboys winning. And the Giants' first win will come Week 4 against the Chicago Bears. Then a lot of losses will follow. They'll lose to the Packers. They'll lose to the Ravens. Week 7, yes, they will lose to the Jaguars in Jacksonville. And they will once again lose to another abysmal team Week 8 at Seattle against the Seahawks before going into a bye week. Even coming out of the bye week, I have them losing to bottom tier teams. I have them going and losing at home to the Houston Texans. After that, they will finally pick up a win against a team they should beat in the Detroit Lions to get to 2-8 on the year. And then week 12, they'll build a little bit of momentum after that Lions game, go into Dallas, and somehow win. They'll take it. Upsets happen all the time. They'll get one here this season. Then, again, another divisional win against the Washington Commanders to get to 4-8 on the season, and one more divisional upset victory against the Philadelphia Eagles Week 14, and that'll be it. That'll be their final win of the season. They will lose their final 4 games, losing to the Commanders, losing to the Vikings, losing to the Cardinals, and in that second matchup against the Eagles, losing to that one as well, finishing the year off 5-12, just like the Washington Commanders, once again missing the playoffs like everybody expects them to do. Now to predict the final team in the NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys. I think they're going to have a rude awakening this season. I think last season was an absolute fluke, and that they aren't as good as last season made them out to be. I think that their defense is going to be way worse this year than it was last year. It's not going to cause as many turnovers. Micah Parsons won't have as good of a season with some of the departures on that defensive line. And overall, I think Mike McCarthy is not a good coach, and that he's not going to lead them back to winning this division and making the playoffs. So let's just jump right into these predictions. Week 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They can't compete with Tom Brady. Not many teams can. They'll lose this game. Then against the Super Bowl runner-up Cincinnati Bengals, they will once again lose to start their season off 0-2 before winning Week 3 at the New York Giants, and then winning again against the Commanders before a loss Week 5 at the Los Angeles Rams to drop to 2-3 through the first 5 weeks of the season. After that, they have a nice little 3-game stretch where they can easily pick up some victories there at the Philadelphia Eagles, then versus the Detroit Lions and versus the Chicago Bears before a Week 9 bye week. Then coming out of that Week 9 bye week, we have the Cowboys traveling to Green Bay. Mike McCarthy's return to Lambeau. He was there for years. He had a bad falling out with Rodgers, and we all know the drama there, but I think, of course, the Packers are the better team at this point of time, so I, of course, have the Packers winning this game. After that loss to Green Bay, they will then bounce back and beat the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. Then, once they beat the Vikings, they will drop back-to-back games against the Giants and the Colts to drop back down to 500 at 6-6 on the year. Then, of course, Week 14, they have an easy matchup against the Houston Texans. That's one they'll win. Week 15 at the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's one they'll win. They'll be at 8-6 with 3 games left in a race with the Philadelphia Eagles to win this division and take that playoff spot. And Week 16 is a big factor in it. I have the Eagles winning this game, dropping the Cowboys down to 8-7. And then I have the Cowboys, after that demoralizing loss to the Eagles, losing again in Week 17 to drop down to 8-8 on the year, before winning Week 18 at the Washington Commanders to finish the year off 9-8, but ultimately losing this division to the Philadelphia Eagles and missing the playoffs in what would be Mike McCarthy's final season, I would assume, if this were the result and if they missed the playoffs. That is all I have for today's video. I've officially predicted 7 of the 8 NFL divisions and all their records going into this upcoming season. Tune in next time where I will be finishing off this series and predicting the NFC North. I'm Dylan Oliver, and I will see you next time.
Fight.